Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to my monthly video on the best board games coming to retail. Every month I run through about 25 great board games that are coming to friendly local game stores, online marketplaces, publishers' websites, big box stores. All of these games are sort of fairly easily and immediately available in the month of November 2024. And before I get into the whole list of the month, this is the month that I actually have a game releasing. My new game, I'm Kind of a Big Dill, comes out here in November. Boom! There you go. There's my name, one of the co-designers of this game. And it is a silly party game. You know, one of the reasons we designed this, or the concepts of it, is that a lot of party games ask you to lie, and a lot of people are not comfortable or good at lying. And so the whole idea of this game is you start with your truth. You come from a place of truth, but then you exaggerate for the better or for the worse. So you don't just have to come up with some story out of nothing. You could tell a true story and then just embellish it to make you look a little bit better, or maybe make you look a little bit worse than you are in actual life. You know, prompts might be something like, describe your skill at doing karate, and maybe you were a karate champion, so you can talk about that. Or maybe you've never even seen a Bruce Lee movie, or maybe one time as an adult you took a karate class and it was a bunch of little kids and you just cleaned up in there. You know, you get to tell that real story and then just embellish it for the better or for the worse, and people have to guess how much you are exaggerating. It's launching with just this base game. There's also 3 expansions. There's a Christmas expansion, because if you know anything about me, I am obsessed with Christmas. There's a nerdy expansion, you know, just sort of a bunch of nerd topics. And then there's an After Dark, an adult expansion. So, yeah, I hope you check it out. Also, thank you to people who've been sending me messages and photos. The best thing I got was, this past weekend I was at BGG Con in Dallas, and somebody sent a pickle cake to my hotel room. There was a cake with a giant pickle shoved down into it, and a hotel worker knocked on my door and was like, "Here you go. Don't know what this is for, but enjoy." And it was great, and I still don't know who did it, but it was hilarious and I loved it. So yeah, I'm kind of a big deal. And let's talk about all the other games coming to retail this month. I should note that all of the games here, I'm talking about North American retail releases. Different games here have, you know, various different European releases and stuff, especially because of Essen was recently. Maybe some of the games from European publishers debut there and get here a little bit later. First up this month, Arcane Wonders is releasing the game Floresta. This plays 2 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. In the game, you are planting trees in the forests of Portugal, and that is a cool thing that I didn't even know that Portugal had a ton of forests in the sort of center of the country. And it is a modular board. You're going to put a bunch of these large tiles together, which is a nice thing because then the setup is a little bit different from game to game, keeps it more challenging, more replayable in that sense. And then you are using cards to plant trees at various spots around the board. A card might tell you where you can plant it, and each of those different tiles is going to score points in different ways. There's also a bunch of forest fires that will happen. Forest fires will pop up around the board, and you need to put out forest fires. You can send out your fire trucks and deploy resources and stuff like that to try to save forest out there. So you are trying to plant trees to create a sustainable ecosystem while also taking steps to prevent and fight forest fires. So if you like that theme, if you like a good nature theme, then check out Floresta. Arcane Wonders is also releasing the game Video Game Champion. This plays 2 to 5 players in 50 to 90 minutes, and it is also a medium weight game from Arcane Wonders. Thematically, it is all about 90s video games and, you know, sort of the explosion of the 16-bit video game world and community and games and stuff like that. And so if you were a big video game player as a child in the 90s, then this might be a game for you. You know, there's definitely a lot of nostalgia in the game. And you are, the way the game works mechanically is there's sort of a grid of these tokens, these tiles, and you will be taking one of the tiles and then activating the action in the row or column that you took the tile from. And so it's an interesting action selection game in that way. And then you will have these tiles, and you use those tiles to basically play video games and rent video games and buy video games and defeat and beat video games and stuff like that. So you're going to use these tiles to sort of mark spots on these cards, and you can mark that you played it, you can mark that you defeated it, and stuff like that, and you'll get various benefits for doing that. So you have to manage resources like money, button chips, IOU chips, all the things like that. So yeah, again, if you like video game stuff, especially 90s video game stuff, then Video Game Champion might be for you. Ares Games, in association with Nuts Publishing, is releasing the game Diluvium. This plays 1 to 4 players in 15 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. The whole sort of selling point of Diluvium is that it is a 4X game that plays in an hour or less. And, you know, if you don't know what 4X is, it's kind of like you're exploring and conquering and building civilizations, and you're just kind of doing a bunch of different stuff. And so in this game, you are, you know, you're leading a powerful civilization, and you are exploring islands. The game has, again, it's a modular board here, and you're going to put down different tiles, and some of the tiles will be face down, so you can go explore those, and some of them will start face up. And so you are exploring, settling, producing, and engaging. Those are your sort of 4 main actions, and you have to turn a dial on your own sort of personal player area to take a different action. And when you take that action, you might deploy some resources or meeples or things like that from your board, which can then unlock bonuses and upgrades and new abilities and that sort of stuff. So as you sort of deploy some of your stuff, you'll make that particular action maybe stronger. And that's one of the things I love, sort of leveling up actions and stuff in that way. And if you like, you know, a lot of 4X games, the big sort of exploring and settling and producing games are, you know, bigger affairs. And so if you're looking for a shorter one, a 4X game that plays in like an hour, there aren't that many of them. Light comes to mind, and then hopefully this one, you know, is solid as well. So yeah, check out Diluvium. Asmodee, in association with Mantic Games, is releasing the game Deep Space Pest Control. This is advertised as a 1 to 2 player game, so you can do it solo or cooperative as 2 players, but really you could probably do it with more than that, because this is actually a holiday advent calendar game. You are sort of going to unlock a different thing, open a new window every single day while you are playing this, sort of leading up to, I suppose, you know, it's meant for probably the Christmas season, but it could be whatever. You could do this any month and unlock stuff and play the game sort of throughout the month. Thematically, you are evacuating an outpost infested with space rats by sealing their tunnels and holding them back while the colonists escape. And so it's 24 days, you know, a new surprise, a new piece, a new challenge sort of every single day while you play. Each day reveals new tokens, pre-assembled miniatures, scenery to enhance your experience, all that sort of stuff. And so you can either play it solo or you can play it in oh, excuse me. I'm allergic to the pests that are in this game right here. Deep Space Pest Control. Yes, cooperative advent calendar game. Asmodee, in association with Rebel Studios, is releasing Dungeon Legends. This is a game that plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a lighter medium weight game. This is sort of set in the world of Chronicles of Avil or Avil. I'm not sure how to say it. Chronicles of Avil was in my top 10 games of the year when it came out. It was just like a really fun cooperative game I really loved. And this is sort of a standalone card game just set in that same universe. And this is a dungeon crawl type of game, but as I mentioned, plays 60 to 90 minutes, and a lot of dungeon crawl games are sort of big affairs, and this is much of a more stripped down, streamlined stuff. You know, you can play it with ages 10 and up. So this comes with a fully replayable campaign of 5 engaging chapters. So, you know, there's definitely multiple chapters to play over, but again, some, you know, dungeon crawl games have 100 chapters and even more. And so this is more of a bite-sized thing. And in the game, you are, you know, playing as a unique character. Each character has their own unique deck and their own sort of play styles and special abilities and strengths and weaknesses and all that sort of stuff. And you are cooperating to defeat monsters. You don't want them to sort of make it out of the dungeon and up into the world. And so you are just playing cards, comboing cards, working together to defeat monsters as they sort of move forward on these tracks, and using, you know, your own asymmetric abilities to the best of your ability to do that. And sort of, you know, each chapter is going to introduce new cards, special rules, unique goals for achieving victory, and all that stuff. So if you want, you know, a more manageable dungeon crawl type game, then maybe Dungeon Legends is for you. Asmodee, in association with Space Cowboys, is releasing Superstore 3000. This plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, but maybe a lighter end of medium weight game. And in the game, you are building a futuristic mall in a futuristic universe, you know. So Asmodee and Space Cowboys are really banking on malls coming back with this theme, you know. They might be dying in 2024, but in the future, malls are going to be a thing again. Our teenagers are going to hang out there once more. I feel like going into a mall right now is very sad a lot of times, where you're like, oh, this was my childhood and now it's dying. But, you know, that's the way it is. Now there's so much online stuff. But in this game, you are going to be doing some tile laying and building a mall. So, you know, maybe you can play this with your kids and be like, this is back in my day. This is what we used to do. And so, yeah, it is a sort of classic tile laying game. You are going to be drafting tiles that represent different types of stores or different events or attractions and things like that in the mall, and laying the tiles down to sort of get points in different ways, right? Different types of stores and different types of tiles are going to score you points in different ways. There are sort of multiple entrances to the mall, so one of the things you might be doing is trying to get a bunch of types of stores near one entrance to attract the different types of customers through there and stuff like that. So it says that it offers an engaging narrative that blends commerce, architecture, and a hint of cosmic adventure. Oh, just a hint. Just a pinch of cosmic adventure. That's fun. Yeah, so if you like tile laying games, there's 96 mall elements to choose from, so you got a lot of different tiles that you're gonna see and explore and play through and all that sort of stuff. So again, if you like tile laying games, Superstore 3000 might be for you. Asmodee, in association with Road to Infamy, is releasing the game Fromage. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. As I mentioned at the top of this video, I spent this past weekend at BGG Con in Dallas and got to play a lot of games. I mean, that's one of the best conventions out there for just playing games, meeting people, sitting down, playing games, having a good time. And Fromage, I got a chance to play while I was there, and it is definitely it was one of my games of the convention, one of my games of the show. It's really great. I love games. You've heard me say this before on my channel, is that a big wheelhouse for me, probably one of my favorite types of games, are like strategic games that play in 45 to 60 minutes. And Fromage is so much that. Like, there's a lot of interesting strategy and choices in the game, and yet you can play it. I think we played it we played it in 45 minutes at 4 players, and so it's just like unreal how fast it goes and stuff like that. It's a worker placement game, but really unique and interesting in the worker placement you're doing as well, because you are putting your workers out and gaining resources or bonuses or area control or different things like that. But the worker placement spots will sort of be pointing either this way, or this way to you, and then at the end of every turn, the board rotates. So any worker you put in a spot this way, the board will rotate and it will come back to you. But if you put a worker in a spot that's facing this way, it'll take 3 turns to come back to you. But the spots facing this way are usually stronger than the ones facing this way. So there's this really interesting choice where, do I want a bunch of this stuff now, but then sacrifice my worker for multiple turns? Or do I want the flexibility of getting them back every round? And so, yeah, it's just really cool. Production-wise, it looks awesome, too. You know, the rotating board and stuff like that. It's got a lot of table presence. But it's just a really interesting worker placement game that does worker placement in a unique way that I haven't seen before. And, you know, it's a lot of simultaneous play. We can only do the stuff that's in the wedge in front of you on the board. And so we can all kind of be taking our actions at the same time. And I just thought it was really interesting and really cool and full of interesting choices, and yet still plays in 30 to 45 minutes. So Fromage is definitely like in my running for, my top 10 of the year. I got to think about it about more, and I want to play this more because I just played it once, but I definitely want to play it more and consider it for that. Next up, we have Asmodee is releasing Monkey Palace in association with Lego, the toy company. This plays 2 to 4 players in 45 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game, but maybe on the top end of lighter weight. This has a ton of Legos in it, and you're not allowed to say Legos. It is not Lego. It is the plural of Lego is Lego. Okay, there is no Legos. Don't put an S on it, or do you get a bunch of comments on the internet being like, well, actually, did you know you can't say Legos? So this was made in association with Lego, and there's a bunch of Lego pieces in the game, all right? And so you are, on your turn, sort of building up this shared structure in the middle of the board, and you are gaining this currency by sort of building arches and levels and things like that. And then you get these cards, and there's an engine building aspect to the game, because the cards will get you new Lego pieces that you can place on future turns. And so you put all these cards down, and then by the end of the game, you're like, I'm getting this and this and this, and I got to place them all down here, and I'm going to build this big structure. And there's a lot of cool 3D. It definitely has like a lot of table presence. It looks really cool on the table when you're done, this big shared structure. I also feel like I have played Monkey Palace a lot at this point. I've probably played this game 10 times. And I've played it with different age groups, and it has been a hit with every age group that I've played it with. I've played it with serious gamers, I've played it with 8-year-olds, I've played it with casual gamers, and I feel like everybody has really liked Monkey Palace. You know, because partly we all know Lego, so there's this initial kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then when you dig into the game, there's actually some real strategy and interesting choices and fun puzzling out stuff in the game. You know, it has more depth to it than I was just like expecting at first glance. And so, yeah, it does say 10 and up. I played it with an 8-year-old who is fairly experienced at games and who plays games regularly, and he was okay with it. So, you know, take that as you will. But if you want a fun sort of 3-dimensional puzzle Lego, if you like putting Lego together and stuff like that, then check out Monkey Palace. Brotherwise Games is releasing Mistborn deck building game. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This is based on the hit Mistborn series by the author Brandon Sanderson. So you don't have to have read the book series to enjoy this game, but if you have read the book series, there is a lot of thematic elements and tie-ins and artwork and all that sort of stuff, so I'm sure it will mean even more to you if you are a huge fan of the book series. But if you just like deck building games, it's a cool deck building game as well, because, you know, like most deck building games, there's a market. You are getting cards and making your deck stronger. But you also have these sort of medals. You have a player board that has these medal tokens. And to play a card, you need to sort of activate or burn one of your medals. And so I've played this type of card. I can't play that type of card again until I refresh that medal and stuff. And so all the different types of cards, the different medals will, you know, have different strengths and stuff like that. So when are you attacking? When are you defending? When are you building? All that sort of stuff. So, you know, each medal has its own strengths, damaging opponents, earning mission points, manipulating allies, all this sort of stuff. So it's kind of a two-layered deck building game where it's not just about getting the cards you want, but also how to manage your metal resources and stuff like that. So, yeah, just and it's from John D. Clare, the designer, who's one of my favorite designers out there. And so, if you like John D. Clare games, he's somebody that I pretty much trust every game he puts out these days. They're always pretty good. So, yeah, Mistborn deck building game. If you're a fan of Brandon Sanderson, if you're a fan of deck building, those are all reasons to check this one out. Cool. Next up, we have Dead Alive Games, in association with Flat River Games, is releasing Cyber Pet Quest. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. When I say 30 to 45 minutes, though, this is actually a campaign game. So each session, each sort of chapter of the campaign is 30 to 45 minutes, but there's a lot more in the box. Like, you can keep playing it and that sort of stuff. There's more than 30 to 45 minutes of gameplay. And the whole idea of Cyber Pet Quest, the reason that I would recommend it to people, is this is a campaign game that is a small box game, is a family weight game, is a family friendly game, all of that sort of stuff. A lot of campaign games, I think we even talked about this earlier in this video, are sort of big, expansive affairs. And this is much more of a smaller box, more digestible version of a campaign game. And there's just not a lot of that out there. And so thematically, you are taking on the role of 4 pets, and you can sort of get cyber upgrades and stuff like that. You're not just organic pets. You're mixing in machines and stuff and like that in there, and so you are trying to sort of find your person. You know, you're a pet and your person is lost, and you are trying to investigate and upgrade your character and complete chapter objectives and gain powerful items and charms that you can use in the future and stuff like that, and outwit enemies that are trying to stop you. The campaign has 12 chapters in a branching format so that players can play the full game multiple times and then see different branching narratives and outcomes and results and stuff like that. So there's more story than just the 12 chapters you can play through. And yeah, if you like upgrading your characters, or if you want a smaller box campaign game, a family-friendly campaign game, they say it plays ages 8 and up. So yes, check out Cyber Pet Quest. Flat River Games, in association with Dice Hate Me, is releasing the game Milkman. This plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a sort of on the edge of lightweight to medium weight, I suppose. And you are, thematically, you are 1950s milkmen. You know, that was a thing, right, that my parents grew up with, but I've never seen it. You know, a person that came and delivered milk to your doorstep. You know, we get it in movies now, and that's all we see. And so you are sort of managing your dairy farm through these dice. You're going to roll dice, and then they'll have different actions on them. And you can produce milk. You can bottle that milk. You can get customers. You can deliver to customers. You can upgrade your storage. You can upgrade the amount of milk you produce. You can do all that sort of stuff, but you're all doing it by rolling dice and then activating the actions that the dice faces show you. And so, yeah, it's a fun theme, you know. Obviously, I haven't seen a lot of games about making and selling and producing milk and all that sort of stuff. You know, one of the things about my life is my dad drinks more milk than anybody you've ever met before. My dad lives by himself and drinks like 3 1-gallon jugs of milk a week by himself. And, you know, my friends are like, oh, you know, at least he doesn't have a drinking problem. He doesn't drink alcohol. And I'm like, oh, I think he does have a drinking problem. It's just a different type, you know? So I feel like I need to play this with him. So, yeah, if you like the idea, if you like, you know, this is sort of a more strategic, sort of a lighter dice thing, but still with more strategy with it. You know, it's not just a push your luck dice rolling game. It's roll dice and activate the faces and manage your dairy farm and stuff like that. Seems pretty cool. All right, Flat River Games, in association with Sinister Fish, are releasing Wizards and Company, or Wizards and Co., maybe. 2 to 4 players, 30 to 60 minutes, and it is like Milkman, sort of on that edge of lightweight to medium weight game. I don't know what you want to call it. A lot of times the way I think about it is like anything that's below a 2 on BGG is lighter weight. Anything that's like between a 2 and a 3 is medium weight, but maybe to like a 3.3, and then anything above that. I don't know. There's no hard and fast rule here. This is a 2 on the BGG complexity scale, so make your own choice. Is that lightweight? Is that medium weight? I don't know what to do with it. This is a strategic game where you will have a hand of cards, and there are multiple of these dungeons out there, and you are putting cards from your hand down onto different entrances of the dungeon. And you can either play cards face up or face down so that other players don't know what you've played there and stuff like that. And all the cards are going to get you different abilities and actions and, you know, stuff like that. And then once the sort of dungeons are full, then you're going to flip everything over or go in clockwise direction and sort of battle at the dungeon. And anybody who has sort of the most power there is going to get the runes and tiles and stuff like that there. And then other people are going to get stuff as well. And so, you know, it's a strategic game, but with hidden information, with being able to play cards face down and stuff like that. And, you know, the artifacts that you're collecting are going to get you points in different ways, and there's some set collection and sort of stuff like that. Managing cards and using your abilities. One of the things I really like about the game is there is a sort of easy family mode in the game and a more complex game. Like, for instance, the rune tiles that will be in the dungeons, you can have face up, and, you know, then they're going to have different abilities on them when you gain them, or different ways to score points and stuff like that. Or you can put them face down, and it's like, this one's worth this much, this one's worth that much, nothing else to think about there, you know? And I like games that do that, that sort of have an easy option for more advanced play or more basic play, depending on the groups that you're playing with. So that might be a reason to check out Wizards and Company. Flat River Games, in association with Rebellion Unplugged, is releasing Joyride Survival of the Fastest. This plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This is a racing, dice rolling, crashing into each other type of game. And so you are going to set up kind of an arena with checkpoints, and you're going to be racing around these checkpoints and stuff like that. And you're doing it by rolling some dice, but you're also getting a bunch of upgrades for your vehicle. You have different tiles you can add. You have different abilities that you can add, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, ultimately it is a race where you are trying to, you know, get through the finish line first, but, you know, it's all about figuring out cool upgrades and smashing into other people and all that sort of stuff. So if you like racing games, also the cars in this game are like these fun, chunky cars and stuff. I don't know if they're wooden or what, but they look cool out there. They're just like these big, cool, chunky cars. This is one, I didn't get a chance to play at BGG-Con, but I heard from a bunch of people there that they really liked it. I talked to people that played it, and they were like, oh, super fun, you know, you definitely got to check out that one. That was what a bunch of people were like, you got to play this one. I think you like this, Grant. You know, that sort of thing. So it's one I want to check out. I like racing games. I like upgrading my vehicle and that sort of stuff. So that is Joyride, Survival of the Fastest. Crash, blast, and race your way to victory around customizable tracks. All right. Next up, we have Conquest Princess from Fight in a Box. This plays 1 to 4 players in 40 to 75 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. And each session of it plays like 40 to 75 minutes because this is also has a sort of campaign aspect to the game. Essentially, there are, you know, scenarios and you can sort of level up and play more and more complex scenarios. Thematically, I love the theme of this game. You are the Tiara Agency, the Temporal Intergalactic Armed Responses Agency, or the Tiara, and you are battling these sort of space fashion tyrants. And you are using different cards like fast fashion upgrades and things like that, and you are battling these fashion tyrants out in space. And so it mixes fashion and you know, pop culture and space and exploration and all this sort of stuff. It's just this really fun, wild, cool mix of all different types of genres in that, and to make something that feels very unique, like feels like nothing else out there. It is a cooperative game, if I didn't mention that, and at its core, it is a bag building game. You are adding these tiles to the bag to sort of make your bag stronger, and then going around and fighting these different minions and stuff like that. And you're doing it by pulling stuff from the bag and hoping you get hits and hoping you can defeat the bad guys and stuff like that. So you're sort of moving your agents around the board to take different actions, to fight different guys, to get different cards, to upgrade yourself and all that sort of stuff. And so each agent, you have an assigned mission and stuff like that. You're trying to complete your assigned missions. Bag building is one of my favorite mechanisms out there. There's a lot of strategy to it, but then ultimately there's just this exciting moment where you reach in and hope you get what you need and stuff like that. And this game is one of those cooperative games that feels like a challenge to beat, like in a good way. Some cooperative games you're like, I don't know how we would ever lose that game. This game you definitely can lose, but also if you work together, if you talk, if you communicate, you can beat the game, and that feels satisfying when you beat it. I like that games like this there's like a tutorial mission in the game where you can sort of learn the systems of the game, and then you can do these different missions that get more and more complex, more and more difficult, more and more hard to beat, that sort of stuff. So if you like cooperative games, if you like bag building games, or if you like just fun, cool, unique, wacky themes, then check out Conquest Princess, Fashion is Power. Think and Think Games is releasing the game Christmas Movie Magic. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 90 minutes, and it is a game that I had to include because, as I have already mentioned in this video, I am obsessed with Christmas. I love it so much. Is my house already decorated for Christmas? You better believe it. We did it at the beginning of November, and that wasn't even a question. And so, if you love watching cheesy Christmas movies, great Christmas movies, there's all different types of Christmas movies. If you like watching those types of movies, this is a game for you, because this is a game you can play along with Christmas movies. You can play this game while you're playing Christmas movies. And, you know, there are cards that are like, when you see this type of cliche in this movie or something like that, you can get points and you're going to play cards and stuff like that. And, you know, like those holiday Christmas, those Hallmark Christmas movies, I love watching those movies and then just kind of making fun of them along with the movie. Well, this like adds to that, right? This is kind of making fun of them in game form and, you know, playing a game while you're sort of watching these terrible, cheesy Christmas movies. And I just think it sounds really fun. And, I'm excited to try this and watch some Christmas movies and play a game while I'm doing it. So that's Christmas movie magic. Fox Mine is releasing the party game Slanguage. This plays 3 to 8 players in 20 to 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight party game. This is a game of slang words, and, you know, there are sort of slang words from all different decades. It takes slang words back for 100 years, the last century. And so in the game, there's going to be a sort of, active player, and they are going to draw a slang card, a word, a phrase, or something like that, and then everyone else is going to write down both what they think that slang word means or what it's representing, and then what decade is the slang word from. And if you guess the right decade, you're going to get points and move forward on the board and stuff like that. But also the active player can give points to their favorite definition. And then, so there's it's both a little bit of trivia of like, oh, that's from the 1920s. The bee's knees, that has to be from then, and then also some silliness with writing like the definition of what the slang word means or what the phrase is representing, prettier than a spotted pup in a red wheelbarrow, sort of that sort of stuff. And then, the winning player will read out the definition and that sort of stuff too. So you can learn a little bit about all these slang phrases and stuff and where they come from and why they exist as well. And I like the idea of that. So that's Slanguage, a silly party game. Friendly Skeleton is also releasing a party game called It's Obvious. Just to note, if you want this in a physical store, it is an exclusive to Books A Million right now. You might be able to get it on the Friendly Skeleton website and stuff like that too. But it is an exclusive to Books A Million right now, so look there if you want to get it in person. Plays 3 to 8 players in about 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight party game. This is the type of party game that, requires a lot of lying, requires a lot of bluffing and stuff like that with each other. So there will be a prompt that comes up, and the prompt has sort of two sides, chocolate versus vanilla or something like that. And the idea of them is that they're supposed to be a little bit more like, maybe more people prefer one over the other, and they're not supposed to be like a 50-50 split, shower in the morning versus shower at night. And then everybody votes truthfully for which one they think is better. Then you reveal all of the votes, and whichever side of the card, whichever side of the spectrum got the most votes, that's like the winning side. But then everybody has to say why they voted for that. You have to justify why you were on the winning team. But not everybody is, remember? Some people might have picked the other side. So if you didn't pick the winning side, you have to BS everybody and lie to everybody and be like, no, obviously I picked that side because chocolate is always better than vanilla. Or, no, why would I pick chocolate? I mean, chocolate can poison dogs. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go vanilla every time. And so it's very much about arguing, about debating, and then you're going to pick out who you think was actually lying, who was actually voted for the less popular side of things. And so, yeah, again, if you like sort of arguing games, social games, lying games, things like that, then It's Obvious might be for you. And it is definitely fun to see where you're like, afterwards you're like, really? You think that is the better side of that card? That's always a funny moment there as well, I think. Good Games Publishing is releasing Curses and Covens. If you like social games, but you don't want just a big party game, Curses and Covens plays 4 to 6 players, and it is a very social game. Plays in about 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game, but it's not really a party game. It is a strategy game. It is a one versus many or a one versus all type of game, where one player takes on one role, and then everybody else is a team together. The one player in this game is a witch hunter, and everybody else is townsfolk trying to protect the witches from the witch hunter. The witches are good in this game. They're friendly. They're nice. They do little magical things and impress your children and stuff like that. And so in the game, you are sort of dealing out some hands of cards, and the witch hunter gets to see, you know, who has which cards and who is holding a witch in their hand. And then you're going to pick up cards and everybody's going to sort of discuss. But the witch hunter gets to hear this information. The witch hunter gets to hear the plan from everybody else. Then deals out another card, and then some passing of cards can happen, and the witch hunter has to try to figure out where the witch is and in which hand the witch is being held. And if they can, you know, capture the witches and stuff like that, then they're going to win the game. If you are trying to, as the witch hunter, capture witches while avoiding innocent villagers, and everybody else is trying to like keep the witches protected in their hands. So this guy, you know, it's a bit of a shell game, almost like where the witch hunter doesn't know where the witches are and is trying to find them as they're getting getting moved around and doing rituals and that sort of stuff. So yeah, again, I like social games, and that seems like a pretty fun, interesting social game. Curses and Covens. Hachette, in association with Scorpion Masque, is releasing the game Dead Cells, the Rogue-Lite board game. Plays 1 to 4 players in 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. And this is based on the video game Dead Cells. So again, if you like the video game, you're probably going to be even more connected to the board game, but you don't have to have played the video game to be into the board game. You don't have to play the video game to try this board game. It is a dungeon crawler experience. It is a dungeon crawler game. And the whole idea of it is you want to be sort of moving down these branching paths quickly and engaging in combat and all that sort of stuff to get to a big boss. And then you can both level up your characters and stuff within the campaign that you're doing right then, but then there's also a bigger board, and you can level up everything to go from sort of mission to mission, right? You're going to be on these shorter missions, and when I say, again, like 45 minutes for playtime, that is like one of these sort of scenarios, and then there's going to be a bunch of scenarios in the game, and so you are, kind of moving down these branching paths and choosing which bad guys you want to go fight and which way you want to go and which way you want to explore the dungeon. And there are like multiple paths through the dungeon, and then, hopefully getting upgrades while you do that. But again, also getting upgrades for this big board that carry over between mission and mission. And there's going to be, big bad guys and stuff like that you have to fight at different points. Each character class has unique power sets and a deck of action cards, and so for each enemy encounter, you will only need to pick one action card to cover all 3 phases of a fight. Loot equipment, gold, scrolls, and cells from the corpses of your enemies and get stronger, but beware, your health pool is limited, and sooner or later, you will die. Oh no. So yeah, obviously, running through enemy-infested dungeons is not the healthiest or most cautious choice you can make. So you are trying to explore, kill, die, mutate, and repeat in the Dead Cells board game. IV Games is releasing Moonrollers. So this is sort of set in the Moonrakers universe, but it is a standalone game. And this is IV Games' first small box game. You know, a lot of their games are much bigger boxes. You know, they do incredible production value, and this is their first, you know, small box contained game. Plays 2 to 5 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. This is a push your luck dice rolling game, and if you're familiar with Moonrakers, there's the same thing where there's like different contract cards and they have different symbols on them and stuff like that. But that's where a lot of the similarities end. You are rolling dice and trying to assign them to these different contract cards. And if you can get a certain amount of certain symbols, you can put your own colored cube onto that contract card. The push your luck aspect of the game is that you need specific amount of symbols for that card that turn. And if you don't get it, you bust and you don't get to put your colored cube down on the card. You don't get to do that. So this one card might require 3 of these particular symbols. So, I just rolled 1 in my first roll. I'm going to put my cube near it, and hopefully I get 2 more. I got to set that 1 die aside, and now I'm going to try to roll the rest of the dice and get 2 more of those symbols so that I can put that down on there. And when cards are filled, when sort of every space has a cube on it, the players with their own colored cubes on it are going to get benefits, whether that's in points or upgrades or things like that. And so I love push your luck dice rolling games. I think they're super fun. You know, they're usually pretty quick and fast and easy to teach and stuff like that. This one I did have a chance to play once in like prototype form, and it feels like a little bit more strategic of a push your luck dice rolling game in a good way. Like, there's some interesting tough choices and upgrades and strategy and stuff here, but it still just has that like grab a bunch of dice, roll them, hope it works out for you feel to it as well. So if you like push your luck games, if you like dice rolling, then Moonrollers might be for you. Next up, Keymaster Games is releasing the card game Fuego. This plays 2 to 4 players in 30 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. This is a trick-taking card game, so if you're a fan of trick-taking games, then Fuego is a good one. I did have a chance to play this one at BGGCon, and I liked it, and it does a cool, a few things that are unique to the trick-taking genre. I feel like there are a lot of trick-taking games out there these days, and yet people keep finding ways to do things in new and interesting ways. They keep finding new and interesting directions to take trick-taking in, which is really impressive because there are a lot of these types of games out there. So the way Fuego works is if you're playing in like smaller numbers, it's individual play, but if you play 4 players, then it becomes a team play. And so you are playing tricks to win cards just like normal trick-taking games. And you have to play on suit, and the higher number wins. But if you play the same number as the previous player on a trick, then both of the cards flip face down and are sort of no longer part of the trick. And you gain a token that gets you a benefit, a bonus to use later in that trick. It might increase a number by 2, or it might change the suit of a card you have, or something like that. And so you're looking for ways to both win tricks, but also play the same number as someone else to flip the cards over and sort of take it out of the trick. And, you might see like, if the first 2 cards get flipped face down because the second player played the same number as the first player, then the third player is going to set the new suit and stuff for that round. In addition, higher numbers win tricks, but lower numbers win points. And so it's, how do you try to win a trick with a 3 rather than an 8 or something like that? It makes it interesting. And again, it's a pretty quick trick-taking game, and I like the fact that they found new ways and new cool things to do within the genre of trick-taking. So that is Fuego from Keymaster Games. Osprey Games is releasing Battalion War of the Ancients. This plays 2 to 4 players in 20 to 45 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. This is sort of a like a war type of game, but a lighter one. Obviously plays in 30 minutes and it is lightweight, and so this is sort of a war game distilled down to a simple system. You are assembling your armies and maintaining order in epic battles from ancient history. There are multiple different sort of armies you can play as, and they have their own sort of systems and that sort of stuff. But you are arranging your units into different sort of you're arranging your troops into different units and then using those units to fight. But you have to sort of maintain order, and the more troops in a unit, the more unwieldy it will get, and maybe you won't be able to respond to things quickly and stuff like that. So the unique traits of each rank tile will make your units stronger, but combine too many and your units will become unwieldy. So just an interesting push and pull of how do you organize your units and stuff like that. And there are 4 playable historical factions in the game, and each of those factions plays a little bit differently, has its own strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. And each faction, you're going to be employing those sort of like faction-specific actions and tactics to outmaneuver your opponents and win a battle there. So yeah, if a lot of war games are bigger affairs and stuff, so if you want a more distilled war game, then check out Battalion War of the Ancients. Pandasaurus Games is releasing Castle Combo. This plays 2 to 5 players in 10 to 25 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. This is from the same folks that made the game Far Away earlier this year. And if you haven't played Far Away, it's one of my most played games of the year. I love it. It'll probably be in my top 10. It's just a really interesting little card game that I love a lot. And so I'm excited to check out Castle Combo just from the fact that it's from those same people. In this game, you are building a tableau, but all of the different cards are going to combo well with other cards and get you points in different ways. And so it's about how you place them in your tableau and which cards you draft and all that sort of stuff. So again, you might expect with the name Castle Combo, there's a lot of comboing in the game. And I love card combos, right? And that's just like an addicting thing in games where you're like, boom, 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 boom. Ha! I feel like a god, sort of thing. And so I'm excited to check this one out. It's fairly straightforward. Each player will spend coins to draft 9 cards from 2 different open markets, and that's it. You're creating a 3x3 square of people interacting with each other. Your tableau is 3x3, and you're going to score points for building the different combos that you can build. And a lot of replayability in the sense that all these cards are going to combo in different ways, and so it's fun to explore different combos like that for sure. If you're looking for a small box game, Pandasaurus Games is also releasing the game Pixies. This plays 2 to 5 players in 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight game, and it is very small box. It's sort of same size as like a sea salt and paper box sort of thing. This is another game where you are drafting some cards and building a tableau in front of you. But this one is not about the building the combos in it. It is about the number that are on the cards you are taking. And putting different numbers in different places in your tableau is going to matter for scoring and stuff like that. You can also bury certain cards under other cards. There are symbols on cards that are scoring you points, and some will get you negative points and all that sort of stuff. So it's just a sort of a puzzle on how you build your tableau, how you build your grid of cards. And if you like small box card games, then Pixies. This is one I saw being played a lot at BGGCon. I saw it on a bunch of different tables throughout the weekend. So people seem to be having a good time with Pixies. Rio Grande Games is releasing the game Aldebaran Duel. Plays 1 to 2 players. What? A duel game plays 1 to 2 players? You better believe it. Plays in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Aldebaran Duel is from Vladimir Sushi, who usually releases games under the Delicious Games brand, but those are like 1 to 4 player games, and then this is a 2-player game, so it's under a different brand than the Delicious Games. But you are playing as head-to-head. You're playing head-to-head against someone else, or solo if you want. You are colonizing planets, researching technologies, dominating the entire planetary system, and going up against someone else while you do it. The whole crux of this game, the whole trick of this game, is that all the cards are dual-purpose cards, multi-use cards, which is a really fun thing in games because it creates for some tough decisions. In the game, you are going to be wanting to play cards down in front of you, and those cards will get you actions and abilities. But you have to pay for those cards by discarding other cards from your hand. And every card seemingly has great abilities on it. So that makes for tough choices when you're like, man, am I really going to throw this card away to be able to pay for this card? And so it's about finding cards that synergize and combo and stuff well together and tossing the cards that don't work for the engine that you are building. So if you like multi-use cards and that sort of stuff, then Aldebaran Duel might be for you. And a lot of Vladimir Suchi's games are like heavyweight games, and this is more of a medium weight game, so that might be a reason you want to check it out as well. So, just mentioning Delicious Games, well, Rio Grande Games, in association with Delicious Games, is releasing another game from designer Vladimir Suchi, but this one is a heavyweight game. This is Resafa. Plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 150 minutes, and whereas the last one was medium weight, this one is definitely a heavyweight game. If you are a fan of big Euros with lots of different stuff going on, lots of different paths to victory, lots of mechanisms to explore and put into the game, then Resafa might be for you. Thematically, it takes place during the 3rd century AD in an area of today's Middle East, and Resafa was a sort of way stop city in the middle of the desert, and it didn't have any water sources at all. And so some of the game is about building water tanks and managing canals and things like that, because they would build these big cisterns and catch the rainwater and then use that water throughout the year. Again, as a heavyweight game, there's a lot of different stuff going on. You're going to be playing cards, and every card has a top and a bottom thing, and you can rotate it and use it as either action that is on the card. But not only does it have an action on the card, it also has a color associated with the card. So you always get the action shown, and you get that colored action as well. And so you're getting multiple things when you play different cards in this game, and so that sounds like an interesting thing. The game is played over 6 rounds, and at each round a player takes only 3 actions. So it's a tight game, a tight economy in here, playing action cards in this tight and exciting game. So we didn't have a ton of heavyweight stuff this month, and so if you're looking for a heavyweight game, if you need a new heavyweight game, then Resafa might be for you. And then lastly from Rio Grande Games is the game Fishing. This plays 3 to 5 players in 40 to 60 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is also a trick-taking game, and I wish I had had a chance to play this at BGCon, because I heard from multiple people that this was their game of the convention. Multiple people told me that. It is a very unique trick-taking game in that you are playing cards down to win tricks and stuff like that. And as you win tricks, you are moving them into your sort of fishing net. Any cards that you win from a trick go into your fishing net. Well, at the end of the round, then you move the cards in your fishing net over to this other little area that you have, and then reset your hand for the next round. You get to basically draft 10 cards out of the cards that you won from the first round to go into your deck. And if you did not win 10 cards in the first round, then you're going to get new cards from this other, more powerful deck of cards and then add in. So there's like a deck building aspect to this trick-taking game. And so winning cards is going to get you points, but losing tricks and not having cards is going to get you better cards for the next round. And so there might be times where you're like, I want to lose a bunch of stuff because I need to upgrade my deck and get better cards there, versus sometimes where you're like, I'm just trying to get points right now. I'm just trying to win as many hands as I can. And it's just a really unique system for a trick-taking game. I'm really excited to try it for sure. So, yeah, that comes out this month. Fishing. Wonderbow Games is releasing the 2-player asymmetric game Kelp, Shark vs. Octopus. This plays 2 players and 2 players only, 40 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. And it is very asymmetric. I did a video for this in prototype form and stuff like that, so I'm excited to play the final production copy. But in the game, one person is playing as the octopus, and the octopus is using some hidden movement and moving around the board and trying to avoid the shark. And the shark is trying to swim around and find the octopus and eat the octopus. And so you are doing it with action cards that will let you do different things. You're doing it with some dice rolling, and it's not just asymmetric in the way that you win the game, it's also asymmetric in the way that you play the game, right? Each person in the game is going to be doing different things and building their hands and their decks and their abilities in different ways and stuff like that. There are 3 ways that the game can end. The shark wins by successfully attacking the octopus, and the octopus can win by surviving until the shark gets exhausted, or by eating all 4 seafoods. And again, it feels like a very different game on each side of the table, and that's a fun reason to play this game multiple times, because you get to explore the different ways to play the game and stuff like that. It also is really gorgeous on the table, and the tiles look really cool, and the dice are pretty, and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, if you're looking for an asymmetric 2-player game, I think Kelp is one of the best ones out there for sure. So, yeah, that's what I got for this month. That was 28 games that are coming to retail here in November. As always, unfortunately, there's more than 28 games hitting retail here in the month of November, and so I wasn't able to include everything in this video. If you want to know about the other things that are coming to retail, you can sign up for my Patreon. That's one of the things I let people know about the other games that aren't included in this video. It's just patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. Go watch my comedy special on Dry Bar called Silly Mustache Man, and check out my game. I'm kind of a big deal. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you liking, subscribing, sharing, all that sort of stuff. As always, I hope you found something that you're excited about. I hope you get a chance to play some of these games. All right, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.